I imagine at some point here you start to realize like, okay, social media is becoming more and more important. Like, at what point did you even discover the world of YouTube? Or like discover this other side of this industry, or
Yeah.
lean into the gaming side of all this?
Yeah, Twitter came first. It was when NFL players were trying to lean into Twitter, and I had Twitter in college, but our coaches regulated it and really didn't let us go on it. And then it really started. I really started paying attention to it then, when some of our clients were using Twitter, and then I stumbled upon this group, and the group's name was DudePerfect, and this was early. It was like mid 2014, I want to say, and DudePerfect probably had like 2 to 3 million subscribers at the time, which then was huge. Today, that seems incredibly small. If you're like, oh, 2 million subs, that's nothing. But at the time, in like 2014, that was a massive channel. And so I started watching their stuff, and I think they had just done a collaboration with an athlete. I can't remember who it was. But in my head, I was like, I need to get Barry Sanders or one of our clients in these videos. This is great exposure. Like, this video got 1 million views. And so that's where my head went. And so I ended up sending them a cold email and just telling them who I was. Like, I think you guys should talk to this client that we have, because I think they would do really well in a trick shot video. They responded in 10 minutes with a phone number, got on the phone with them, just kind of, again, tried to develop a relationship out of thin air. And that's kind of how that conversation ended. It was basically like, we'll think about it, but not at this moment. But what I did start to do after I had that conversation was I just started to just search around on YouTube and see what else was out there. And up until this point, like, I never watched YouTube in college, so this was all very new to me. And there was a lot of interesting channels, but I kept coming back to this DudePerfect channel because they were dominating in 2014. And so I ended up like having this vision of, and it was more along the lines of, where's the attention going to be in 5 years, not where is it currently at. And Twitter was doing well at that current moment, but I went and I remember asking my little cousins, because that was like my test. I was like, let me ask like my cousins who are like 7 and 10 years old who DudePerfect is. And I remember going home and I was like, do you watch DudePerfect? Do you watch DudePerfect? And to just see them freak out about DudePerfect. And then I would be like, do you know who Richard Sherman is? Do you know who Barry Sanders is? And they'd be like, what? Who? Like, I have no idea who you're talking about. And that was like, wow, this is not only where all the attention's going, they actually are commanding this young audience that doesn't really care about professional football and professional basketball. Like, they're watching DudePerfect upload videos every week. And that's where my mind went. I was like, this is where all the attention is going to go. And I ended up leaving the agency probably a month later.
Wow. That's crazy. And then, like, like, I mean, it makes a ton of sense. Like, I imagine, like, DudePerfect at that time, I remember when they first started blowing up, and, this is probably when they were doing, like, their crazy, longest basketball shot of all time type of videos. So,
Yeah.
that was, like, a real big moment for them. And I guess, after that, you realized all of that. Did you immediately say, like, to yourself, oh my gosh, like, I'm going to go and manage some YouTubers and go into this world? Or what happened next? How did you like then parlay your experience from the sports world? Because I imagine there weren't too many managers in the YouTube space at that time, and if they were, like, they definitely didn't come from the sports world, and like they were probably more of like just random friends managing these people.
It was all MCNs at that time. It was Maker and Fullscreen and Machinima. That's who kind of all these creators gravitated towards, was their MCN relationship. And then there were managers, but you're right, it was a lot of friends, uncles, parents. That's who was managing a lot of these creators, because it was still so new and there wasn't a lot of money being made outside of AdSense yet. There were some brand deals. Merchandise wasn't really a thing yet. When I met DudePerfect, they weren't selling t-shirts, they weren't selling hats, they didn't have anything. It was just like making money off AdSense, doing some sponsorships, and that was the business. And so, no, I had no idea when I left that I wanted to be a manager. I just knew that I wanted to work with them. I was like, I literally just want to like provide whatever value I can to these guys, because I think that what they're doing is not only sustainable over the next decade, but I think they're going to be at a position where they can potentially be the biggest creator on the platform. And at that time, I can't remember who was number one. It was probably PewDiePie.
Yeah, probably
but
PewDiePie.
He probably only had like 20 to 30 million subscribers, if that, since it was still so new. So yeah, I just started working for them. I packed my car up from Las Vegas. I drove to Dallas. I called my parents and told them what was going on, and they thought I was absolutely crazy. to give up my job as a sports agent of what I wanted to do for the last 3 years, and to just give that up off a whim and go work with this YouTube group. And my parents didn't even know what YouTube was. And so it was a hard conversation to have, because I didn't have any money at that time. You know, they were supporting me, thankfully. And so I drove to Dallas. I started working with the dudes, and that's how it started. And then from that relationship, I stumbled upon Justin TV, and I just kept going down this rabbit hole of meeting other creators, and then finding out that there's a much bigger ecosystem on the internet than I thought there was. And I just jumped in head first.
Wow. When you were working with DudePerfect, what was like your official role, or like what was your day-to-day like with them?
Yeah, it was all brand deals. That's all I did. I was like, calling like the Chiat Days and the Fleshman Hillers, like these big agencies, and I was trying to help them understand why they should be allocating budget towards this YouTube channel, not to spend ads on pre-rolls and mid-rolls, but to like organically sponsor a video, which at that time was like, what are you talking about? Why would we pay this creator to sponsor a video when we can like buy a mid-roll or a pre-roll ad on their channel? And so that's what I did. I just sold sponsorships, and we ended up inking a massive deal with Callaway Golf. My one vision for them when I first started was, I was like, they're killing basketball and football, and they've kind of looked at soccer a little bit, but I thought they were missing a category that was golf, because golf was predominantly very old, like it's a boomer sport. And I thought there was a really cool opportunity for them to go to some of these unique brands that are, you know, they skew very old in terms of who are buying those products, and appeal to a much younger demographic of who's probably going to go like start playing golf in high school or college. And so Callaway Golf jumped on board. I remember talking to their CMO about the deal, and I think it was his son or his daughter knew who DudePerfect was. And like, that's how that deal got done. Wow. His kids were like more excited than he was. And he's like, if my kids know who they are, then this is the right move for us. And then luckily they had an agency at the time too, who like totally understood.